Hi everybody, hi Miss Seepel. We
Hi,
are
Miss
here
Siegel.
today to talk to you foremost about the drug DNP and how it works in the human body.
We're also going to review some cellular respiration and some photosynthesis for you, and as you're going to need to know how DNP affects one of them and why it works.
And after researching, we have come to the conclusion that DNP is not safe in our bodies, and you can listen up to find out why.
That's right. So now I'm going to talk about the electron transport chain. So in order to start, we have two coenzymes, NADH and FADH2. And so the hydrogen ions from these coenzymes each have two electrons. And so these electrons will enter the electron transport chain and continue through until they run out of energy. And so there is a concentration gradient of these H plus ions on one side of the bilayer, and so the energy from the electrons from the H ions are going to pull the hydrogen ions up through the bilayer. And so after they are pulled through the bilayer, the ATP synthase harnesses the energy from the H plus ions and pulls it down to create ATP in water, which is chemiosmosis. And that is how cellular respiration works.
Photosynthesis converts light energy into the chemical energy of sugars and other organic compounds. This process consists of a series of chemical reactions that require carbon dioxide and water and store chemical energy in the form of sugar. Light energy from light drives the reactions. Oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis and is released into the atmosphere. The equation is 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 H2O yields a glucose molecule and 6 O2 molecules. Photosynthesis transfers electrons from water to energy-poor CO2 molecules, forming energy-rich sugar molecules. This electron transfer is an example of an oxidation-reduction process. The water is oxidized and loses its electrons, and the CO2 is reduced and gains electrons. Photosynthesis uses light energy to drive the electrons from water to their more energetic states in the sugar products, therefore converting solar energy into chemical energy in the form of ATP. We are now moving on, and I am going to explain a little background information to you on the drug DNP, and then Brooke is going to tell you how it works. Now, the beginning of DNP. During World War I, French workers manufactured DNP for use as an explosive. And then from this, 36 deaths occurred and were blamed on DNP for the soldiers having exposure to it in the factories. And it turns out that they had been absorbing the DNP through their skin and lungs, and the level of the chemical got so high that they actually died. Now, autopsies were done on the body, and they indicated that the people that had died had almost no body fat, and this, how the drug DNP was first discovered as a potential weight loss drug. Now moving on to the progression of DNP. People began to become curious about DNP after the incident with the French autopsies in World War I, and a study was conducted at Stanford, and a first report was made on the drug's ability to greatly increase metabolic rate, and this all occurred in the early 1930s. Now, people began using DNP after the autopsies were performed and the study was conducted, and it became one of the first weight loss drugs used. And it was used extensively in diet pills from 1933 to 38, and normal doses ranged from 100 to 600 milligrams a day, but fatality was found to occur if using between 1 and 3 grams, depending on the person. Now, as more people began using DNP, the results began to become discovered, as well as the effects. So about half a pound a day was the result of using DNP, half a pound lost weight, and this is without dieting or doing cardio, just taking the pill. And this fat loss occurred mostly around the waist area. Some side effects were vomiting, swelling, joint stiffness and pain, headaches, dizziness, that kind of stuff. And the results varied greatly for different people. Some couldn't handle it, and others were not affected by even the high doses. And then DNP is still used today by some bodybuilders and athletes to rapidly lose body fat. And fatal overdoses are rare, but are still reported on occasion. And the real information here was that DNP increased metabolism by around 50% usually, depending on the person. Brooke is now going to tell us how DNP works by inhibiting one of the processes described earlier.
DNP inserts into the inner mitochondrial membrane and shuttles protons between the inner membrane space and the matrix. The energy released as the protons move down their concentration gradient is dissipated as heat. This is manifested physiologically by a rise in body temperature, a fever. Without the protein gradient, ATP synthase is not able to maintain ATP production. The mitochondrion tries to adjust its ATP production by increasing the rate of glycolysis and burning more energy from fats. The energy from the fat burning is used to pump protons to the inner membrane space. However, as long as DNP is in the membrane, this is a futile effort as many of the protons flow back into the matrix. This is how DNP works as a weight loss drug. It uncouples the energy derived from the breakdown of fats and sugars, which pumps protons to the matrix, from the production of ATP.
Well, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed learning about DNP as much as Brooke and I did, and I also hope you took away enough from our video about the downside to DNP and how it affects your body. Thank you for listening.